what do you want me to do?
Yeah, I think they're sound now.
Okay.
Can you hear us now?
Let me know.
Technology.
Let me know when then.
It's so good.
Let me know when then.
You're in. Go.
Well, now am I? Now I'm ready to do the interview. Definitely not take two. So it's looking super slick going in. Hi, welcome to Culture of Paint. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at what's caught our eyes. I don't think you can swear in the first couple of minutes either. That's the ad revenue gone. I mean, it's stunning. It's an absolutely outstanding start. It's Culture of Paint. Let's talk about things. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
That's my fault. I hadn't got a button ticked.
Just cannot get the stuff. Full refunds for everyone.
Are we going now or not? Are we on, Matt, or not?
Yeah, we're on.
We're back in it. Right. Hi,
Hello,
everyone. So, slick
Oh.
and seamless as ever. Hi, I'm Henry. Joining me as usual are Matt, Andy, and Rich. Although this is Matt's last show, so there we go. After that.
Don't worry, you can take over technology next week.
I can, mate. I'm
Henry.
spending 48 hours anyway. Right. How are we all? Good?
Good, mate. How are you?
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant
good.
after that.
I was better about 5 minutes ago, but still pretty good. And we've got the chat in, which is important. The ever understanding chat.
Calamity of paint.
Lots of familiar names in there. Got the spray sound. Oh, they got the spray sound at least. There we are.
Yeah, I'll take the blame on that. Was my fault. I didn't click a button.
We're all right.
be fair,
We're
it's
back.
been a long
We're still
day.
on track. 2 weeks since the last episode, which went down really, really well. So thanks everyone for checking that out. And also thanks ever so much for sending all the pictures, your city's armies that are getting painted up. It's going to be, it's going to be pretty rad. I think over the next few months, well, whenever the hell we're going to get the rest of the miniatures, that is. So what has caught our eye over the last couple of weeks?
So, slides. First up is...
Oh, yeah.
Guessing is this Andy or is it Stilo?
You guess, mate. You guess.
I'm going to guess it's... I would think Stilo from the model, but the way it's painted, I'm guessing you.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
It's me. It's my pick.
Flawless taste, as I've always
Yeah.
said you have.
Good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely.
I picked this because we are going to talk tonight about shows that aren't Golden Demon, shows where there are lots of creativity and other miniatures, and I thought this is a good example of the sort of thing you can see at SMC and Monte Savino shows. Just thought it was a really cool example of what other things you can see when you go to these different competitions.
I love how it's painted. I love that. I mean, rough isn't the right word because of how small it is. It's absolutely, definitely not rough, but it's very like art. Yeah,
Is that the right word?
yeah.
Brush strokes. You can see some brush strokes. Feels
It's
are real.
lovely.
It's kind of got an oil painting vibe to it as well. I think.
Yeah.
As in traditional canvas oil painting.
Great pick.
Very cute. Do you know where the mini's from?
No idea.
No idea. All right. Well, if anyone does in chat, bang her up.
Somewhat topical because I had to chase a field mouse around the house yesterday evening to try and get it out. It was adventurous. Yeah, never again.
How did that go?
Yeah, it took a while. They're very slippery little things.
There we go.
I do it about 2 to 3 times a week, and it's a joy every time.
Well, people have often wondered how we get that texture on some of our models and trade secrets. So, what's next?
Up
It's going to be hard to follow that cute little thing, though, isn't it?
Oh, it's me.
Oh,
So I was greedy. I haven't done more than one pick.
You've been talking to Betsy?
No, I haven't. I have. But was he like this as well?
He's literally done one of these this week. I'll also
amazing.
send him his killer can. But yeah,
thank
he's
you for
literally done one of these this week.
Yeah, I picked the four pictures of it because I saw the house, one of the houses on its own originally. I thought, oh, that's a really cool bit of scenery. Then saw how many there were. Then saw the backdrop, which is a painted backdrop, and it's grand.
Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah, brilliant.
I'd love to play a game on that looked like that had that kind of look, like those buildings go with. Really, really, really cool.
get off my land.
Here we go. Mouse sit under mushroom from Lord of the Print. Just rolls off
That's
the
an
tongue.
amazing name.
It is. But yeah, we've been playing we're doing a bit of gaming lately, and I think something we spoke about before in the past. I think is the scenery is almost like that third player when you're playing, and it makes a game. And so I've been really enjoying kill team and skirmish games and stuff, and just I loved how this was made, and it's all scratch built as well. It's all just blocks of like plastic cast, and each of the tiles is
the
an
old little
individual bit of
cardboard roof tiles, isn't it?
Yeah, like the on the main picture, there's a door in the middle. It's got like a sculpted face on it. That one in the building in the middle with the little tower on it, and he sculpted that face into the door. It's just, I thought it was great. I really liked it. Really well painted, really atmospheric, and I just thought, like some sort of AOS skirmish game or war crowd, something in there would be really good fun.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's great for a lot of those third-party fantasy games as well. Especially ones that you can imagine if you. What's it called? Moonstone, that one that leans into the sort of Brian Froud almost look. I think would look super cool on this. Things like Turnip 28, things like that. Yeah, be very, very cool. Great choices, mate.
Choose mine.
Right, what's that next?
Next is my one.
Bayonwu.
Oh, that's nice.
So this is
this new?
Fairly new, yeah. He had a YouTube video out. I can't remember now. A while ago. Might be like a month old or something. But yeah, I saw the whip of the bricks, and I was just like, oh, there's trauma.
Yeah.
That's lovely. And so is the bridge? Has he just put a little bit of veneer on the front of the bridge to make it look, or is it out of wood?
It's just a bit of veneer, yeah. Just
that's a really cool idea.
Set it off.
Well, you so often see bits like that painted black, don't you? Yeah, that's really cool. Did you say this account has a YouTube channel as well?
He does, yeah. That's great. He was painting it was like a 1/6 World War II tank. It was huge. He was like in a proper
the remote control one.
The remote control from Armatech.
Yeah,
they do. They're 1/6 fully metal. They weigh like 120 kilograms. He's painted a panther and he's painted a Yak tiger, I think. So he paints them
in that size.
1/6. So they are literally like the same size. They're like the way that as much as like a washing machine. They're that sort of size. You need to carry them around in like trailers. That's fully remote control, smoke, gunfire, and he painted it up
I've
historically.
Seen them at Salute. I'm sure they had them at Salute one year. Yeah,
very cool. Very expensive as well.
Bayonwu's a ledge in the historical world. He's an absolute bad man.
All right, we'll make sure that as usual the accounts are down in the description, so you guys can go and follow them. Speaking of 1/6, they made that Weta announcement, didn't they? About
they did.
I assume that's going to be 1/6, is it, or somewhere around?
Yeah, they do 1/6 figures, but I would like to know. Well, they're going to ship from New Zealand, so prepare for HMRC to come after you if you import one.
Nice, tasty. You don't really care by that point, do you?
Well, I've
got enough problems with them as it is, let alone anymore.
Right, before we go down that taxi.
Really cool, and I would love to see something like this in person.
He did Das Boot, right?
He did, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What scale is it, Matt?
I think this is 1/35th. Something like that.
If it's 1/35th, that's massive. It looks 1/35th for 172.
Let me find it. You'd think I'd be prepared, but I'm not.
He might be SMC, right?
Isn't it?
It might be. He does do 1/35th, but he does also a lot of 172 as well. I love the colours in the roof tiles.
Yeah.
Is that a light, or has he painted that warm light? Can't tell.
Not sure.
If it's painted, it's amazing.
Perhaps if I spell his name right.
Albert makes a very good point in the chat. The way that the bridge, I wish the bridge followed the same edge as the plinth. It's stressing me out a little bit.
Yeah,
there'd be a lot of space in front of the tank then, though, wouldn't there?
It wouldn't line up with the front of the tank, would it? So
I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't say on the thing, but it kind of looks like 1/35th.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's very cool.
I'm going to check that video out.
The bricks were what drew me to it. I was like, yeah, that's good.
Well, you had a lot of fun with them, didn't you? With your them. Yeah.
I wish they looked like that.
Because 1/35th is roughly 40k scale, right? If you want to nick bits,
it's-
you nick them from 1/35th kits, right?
Wait, no, 1/35th is way too big.
Oh, is it?
172. If you did like a 1/35th, like Tiger, like the one in the picture,
Mm.
would be the same size as a Spartan.
Hmm.
And 1/35th
Pretty big.
figures are massive.
Okay.
So 172, but then one small 135 tanks fit, but it's 172 normally.
Okay. Well, it's super cool. And yeah, I imagine you're going to see an awful lot of these at
Cannot
SMC.
wait. Need all the
Tanks,
inspiration.
tanks.
So, last pick. It must be me, right?
Yeah.
With them size. So, this is not a miniature as such. This is just the fact that there's been a lot more articles recently over on Warhammer Community that are sort of roundtable style interviewers with the design teams. So whether it's the heavy metal team or the sculpting team and things like that, and they're not like massively in depth or anything like that, but it's really nice to see some and read them and hear the sort of thoughts and decision making that the leads have put into designing the new stuff that's coming out. And I just thought, it was worth sort of saying. It's not just advert after advert after advert. There's some fun little articles on there which just leave me wanting more, but it's certainly better than nothing.
They have their in this month's issue of White Dwarf, they have the Heavy Metal Terminator challenge thing.
Oh, cool.
Where they all painted the new Termies and sort of had write-ups about them. And I think I read a comment somewhere saying basically they had so many for the White Dwarf article. The White Dwarf were a bit like, oh, we can't put them all in.
Sounds typical.
Yeah, but very cool articles.
I mean, speaking of lots of that, there was an article went up today on the new plastic night kits for Heresy, and I thought it's quite interesting. They've just given them to loads of staff, like studio staff, and they will paint them up, and they'd photograph them like how normal people would photograph them. So they're just like on the desk with a book behind it type thing and all that. I was like, that's
Oh, really?
interesting. I haven't seen that sort of thing from them before as well. So if there's going to be a little bit more of that bloggy human feel, and particularly the interviews with like the sculpting team and the heavy metal team, I would really enjoy that if it's coming with each release, because it's been for the last few releases now. So it's been with the Tyranids, with the Cities of Sigmar, and with the Iron Jaws stuff that we just seen. So
it needs to happen. It's like that personality and personal touch behind it was really lacking in a lot of sort of the community posts. It felt very sterile for a long time.
But it's nice as well just to have there's always that discussion, isn't there, around crediting artists and letting us know names and all of that, and there's valid arguments, I think, both sides of it, but it's nice that they don't give you the full names of people in the interviews, but they give you the first names and stuff. So if these articles do continue, you're going to start recognizing certain people's names and perhaps start anticipating their work and follow, and really looking forward to that stuff. And so it's I just think it's a very positive move. And we mentioned a few episodes ago when we spoke about that, the reveal, seeing the Iron Jaws stuff. I think it was Andy mentioned, he goes, the yellow looks a bit different, like what's going on with that. And actually the screenshot from the article on there is it's not that, actually, it's the following article from that, but it talks about it basically how they changed the paint style for them, because when Age of Sigmar first came out, it was a different look, and now they really like the look they've got going on, so they wanted to bring them into that vibe, but still maintain their sort of quite brash, colourful thing that they've got going on. So that's been my sort of favourite thing over the last few weeks.
I'm so keen to paint them.
You just want the big pig.
Big pig.
I
Big
want
pig
all
is-
of it. I've
is
got about 1,000 points of them. That is the previous sort of range, and it was a very, very small range. There was about 5 choices. So now that it's a much more flushed out range,
full army, mate.
when they're released, I'm very keen.
It's they're great.
Yeah,
we've
love 'em.
got a few of them for review and stuff, and they're brilliant. They're really, really cool. So I don't think we've got a meme.
No meme.
Well,
My bad. I
is
did have a
that-
good
have
one.
you
I didn't
been-
send it over.
okay, that's all right then. As long as you're getting them and finding them.
Oh
That's all-
yeah, I've got one. I
that's all right.
completely forgot to send it.
Maybe we'll have to stick you in for like a half-hour meme special one day. Just you with a couple of cans and all the memes.
We could do memes of the year every year.
Best memes of
Just-
2020. There we go, Bosh. Another episode. Chalk it
Only
up.
on Twitch, otherwise you might get your account cancelled.
Maximum. Oh yeah. I thought of that.
What's
Oh,
that?
Fuck them. The whole image right things and all of that.
Oh.
They did.
Bugger off, Richard. That's really mean.
We broke.
Good
Matt's
God.
Matt's very sensitive about his
Sorry,
mustache,
this is so
people.
unfair.
Look,
It's
it's,
hanging-
it's only going.
This is
It's not getting there
so-
anymore, is it? I've got to get it somewhere.
Mate, feel you
Matt,
on
keep
that
it
one,
growing.
bro.
You'll get
Feel
Matt.
you
You
on
need
that
to
one,
keep
bro.
shaving so it thickens up. Yeah,
That's a myth, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a myth.
I'm just telling him for fun.
Right.
Oh, cry.
Let's move on. Main topic. I can't think of a facial hair segue into it, so we'll just go into them. Scale model challenge at Monte San Savino. So we're sort of over halfway through the year now. Golden Demon season, as it were, is well and truly over for this year.
Phew.
What's coming up now? Well, we've got two massive shows, been on the scene for a long time. Scale Model Challenge, or SMC, you might hear it called, and Monte San Savino. Andy has been going to both of them for quite some time. Big fans of them. I think Matt and Andy Rich, you going SMC this year?
Not SMC, but I'll be at Monte
Bit
again.
at Monte. So, we'll have some presents there. Really like it. And we just wanted to sort of warm up for a bit. And maybe if you weren't familiar with them and just wanted to see what all the fuss is about, Andy's going to take you on a merry little jaunt through the last sort of 10 years of their top best of shows amazingness. That's about right, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, just a little intro. I think these are the two biggest shows in the world with Golden Demon. But yeah, if you're disregarding Golden Demon, shows that you can enter non-games workshop stuff, these are definitely the two most prestigious, biggest shows. And you have the World Model Expo as well, and that is only every 3 years. But for annual shows, I think these two are the best, and they're kind of in a row. Scale Model Challenge in October and Monte San Savino in November. So yeah, they're kind of a month apart. So for me, it's kind of like non-games workshop competition season is like the winter and stuff. Actually, Scale Model Challenge is happening for the first time since 2019 because of COVID. And then we did have the World Model Expo hosted by Scale Model Challenge, which is quite confusing for some people. But now we should be back on the normal rotation, which is Scale Model Challenge in October. And both of the locations are amazing. Scale Model Challenge is in Eindhoven, so I fly to Amsterdam and get a wonderful train to a lovely little town, and it's an amazing show. It's got loads more scale models. It's pretty heavy there. So yeah, a lot more tanks and things like that, as well as the fantasy figures. And there's a lot of shops and traders as well. So it's kind of like Salute with loads of traders, but it's actually shops you want to buy stuff from. And the competition's very, very well run. And then Monte is more of feels like a family affair, and it feels like the end of competition season at November, and then you go into Christmas. So me and Rich have been going there since 2015, so we're looking forward to our 10 years since our first Monte soon. But yeah, since those two are coming up, we're just going to look at some random best ofs, and there are lots of different best ofs at these shows, so maybe as we go along we'll explain some of the different special prizes that they give. But yeah, we're just looking at a few random models that are amazing, just to show how cool these other shows are.
Nice.
There you go. Almost 10
What
years
start?
old.
Fuck, is this
Almost
10 years
10
ago?
years old.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So this is Diego Esteban, who owns Hera Models, if you know that brand. So yeah, really good brand. And he doesn't paint as much anymore, but he was a prolific painter, entered loads of competitions, and he won the Best of Show in Monte in 2014. And Monte San Savino Best of Show it's one of the best accolades you can get, along with Slayer Sword, whatever. It's really up there as a huge one. And this figure is a Terrible Kids figure called Jack the Plucker. and loads of people converted it into different things. Like, I don't know why. Maybe there wasn't that many figures at the time, but something to do with the posing. It just got turned into loads of projects. Do you remember that one I love, which is the orange background and he's holding the scythe? That's the same base model, and I think something else won Best of Show with the same figure. But anyway, this one's kind of crazy because I think it's like a baby dreaming or something like that.
I think so.
That's what it's supposed to be, right?
Mm.
It's what those baby dolls just always creep me out.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Is-
I mean,
is that-
it is creepy.
Is that
doll,
bottom bit
yeah.
like an actual doll?
It must be, yeah. And then
thought
it's
so.
painted, and then the bubbles are like the dream, right? And then he's
Yeah,
converted it to be holding an umbrella.
I should do.
So it's just mental.
really cool idea.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the coolest thing about these shows is, the creativity is absolutely mad, and we all love Golden Demon. That's because, as you know, we always cover it, so we're never gonna. Yeah, it's hard to compare them, but the nice thing about doing both the shows is you get to see stuff where there's no limits, right? Because at Golden Demon, you have to follow the IP and stay close to that, which is cool in one way. And I think it's cool that you have complete freedom. And then you get things like a baby having a dream about a guy with an umbrella.
It's the massive diversity in sort of creativity, which is what's really cool about these shows.
I would agree with that. You see some whatever your brain can come up with, if you can execute it in a way that's good enough, you will do well at those shows. It's the parameters are. I think it's much more. It feels much more like an art show than a miniatures painting show, because it is like whatever you want to create has a spot. There are people that have done some things that are literally like black and white models with no paint, with no other paint than that on it. You've seen there's some of the sculpts that people bring are amazing. There's some flat painted things. It's a very, very different way, but very art based rather than just miniatures painting, I think.
I think what really sort of going to Monte for the first time last year was just the amount of sort of historical scale stuff, because I've never really seen stuff like that outside of just photos, and getting to see that in real life was pretty cool. It's just so different from what I'm generally used to.
It's really important to get out of the Games Workshop world sometimes, and I've always said that I love both, and I just like variety and stuff. And I sort of I don't know that many people, because I go to all the shows. There's not that many people I see that go to every one. I'll go to Golden Demon and there'll be the Golden Demon guys, and there's a certain sort of way of thinking at that. And then you go to Monte SMC and you'll see a bunch of people that aren't at Golden Demon, and they're kind of like, oh, we don't like Golden Demon. And it's not like a massive like, oh, we hate this, we hate that, but there's just different kind of opinions and different tastes, and I love just going to them all. I like painting all the different types. So for me, I just love the variety, and I'll always go to all the different shows. And yeah, it's kind of cool to paint something following the GWIP and trying to be as technical as possible. And then it's kind of cool to just get loose and have fun and go to these. So why not do the different shows, and why not embrace different styles? But I think this one kind of shows that. Next one.
Oh, sorry.
I remember this.
One.
Yeah, so had to talk about something from Kyriakos Simos, who is a Greek painter. And if you want to see something he's done in Games Workshop, have a look at his Azrael. It is insane. So it's a scratch-built Azrael on large scale. It's amazing. But yeah, me and Rich loved Kyriakos' work when we first saw it, because it's insanely clean, but he paints mental stuff like this. So he's just amazing. He won Best of Show maybe 2019. Kyriakos has won MMS Best of Show a couple times. I think this was Best of Fantasy actually, not Best of Show. So at the different shows there are lots of best ofs, and at Monte you have a Best of Fantasy, a Best of Historical, and the Best of Show actually sits above those two. But obviously, Best of Fantasy is a massive prize. So because it's not Best of Show, you know, you can't put it down. It's still a huge accolade. But yeah, Kyriakos I think has got this with Best of Fantasy, and he's won the Best of Show. But he's not a very well-known painter, I guess, compared to others. But he when he goes to these shows, he's always picking up massive prizes, and his work is superb.
He's a great painter, but he's just like a really nice guy, but really quiet and just gets on with it. And he'll just go to these shows and just drop something like this, or these incredible, like Andy said, absolutely batshit crazy things that are just painted to this most insane level. But he also paints other different things. Like he did a what is it? The primer.
He did the book as well.
Who did the book? What's the primer that he did, which is insane? Each one of the rivets had like 3 highlights on it.
Horus.
Horus, yeah. Way back when he did a Horus, and it's still one of my favorite things he's ever done.
That was a whip, I think, and the face was like perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. But yeah, I forgot he did the one with the book, and then it's the knight with the wings holding the sort of angel, and that's Michael Contreras as well. So they're both Greek and they team up. So Michael Contreras is a miniature brand you can buy figures from, but yeah, Kyriakos just paints stuff. But yeah, I forgot how many amazing pieces he's done, and they're kind of infrequent but always amazing. And yeah, this is probably the most abstract he's done. The others are bit easier to digest. There's like a girl with a sword that could be Warhammer, and he's done Asriel, stuff like that. But yeah,
it's really cool that with those sort of shows, collaboration is a really like thing that's sort of accepted, and not only accepted but really like encouraged. Is if you've got a fantastic sculptor who knows a fantastic painter, the collaborative part of it is a really cool element to it that you don't get at GD.
Yeah, love his stuff. I hope he does something this year. It's just always a pleasure to see his paint in real life, and it is superb in the flesh. So yeah, love seeing his stuff.
Yeah.
Should we do another one?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to let Rich talk more about
someone's
this one.
asking. Yes, it is Kyriakos with a Y.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you get at Monte Savino, as Matt said, is there is a really prolific historical painting scene which shows up at this, and it's really great to see the historical painting and the fantasy painting kind of in the same space, as you get to have conversations with people that do historical. Because there's a few people that kind of bridge the gap and do a bit of both, but a lot of the historical painters kind of group together, so it's really interesting, really fun to have conversations with them about how they paint and what they paint and things like this. When you first go to Monte, I think we were guilty. When we first went to Monte, the one when we saw what had won historical, we were like, why is that one? Why is that one like best of show? Which was well painted, but the background to it, some of these things that people make, they'll make this bike. I think it was this one. This bike is like scratch built, and it's based on a random like photograph from like 1915 or something like that, and the person's found a photograph of a bike, a tank, or a soldier or something like that, and they've basically scratch built it or used a current kit to create that scene. It's one of those historical shows where the historical accuracy is really important. So the different colors that you use, the time that you're trying to represent, the different elements. So if you're painting something from like World War II in 1944, the amount of history and the amount of research and prep that goes into that is really important. And when it's being judged, that's the sort of things that I think they take into consideration as well. It's not just, okay, this is an incredibly painted model. It's what time is it from? Is it historically accurate? All those different things. So this was one that came 2016. It's not a big model. So when you see it in the real, how smooth it is and how well painted it is, it's a hell of a thing. And for like us, when we went for the first time, being introduced to that kind of that level of historical, like I've seen historical stuff before, but the level there it's a completely different thing. It's a completely different level. So seeing that in the real world for the first time, it really, really made me want to paint something historical for it. And it's still on my bucket list. One of my bucket list things to do is to enter historical at Monte, and
Same
See how
here.
I get
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, really, really. I said I would this year, and I have not.
No, I said I would this year as I had last year, and I haven't either.
I couldn't find Henry's favorite
The deer.
antelope. Yeah, I couldn't find it. It's gone. So if I found that, I would have painted it. But Thompson Gazelle, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Monte San Savino logo is like a soldier and an orc, and it's like two faces facing each other because it's supposed to represent the historical and the fantasy world, and it's supposed to be like an evenly split show of historical and fantasy. And when you physically walk in the room, it's like a long corridor, and there's all the shelves, and it's fantasy one side, historical on the other, and it's great. So you've just got like the same amount of historical as fantasy figures, really, more or less. And I look at all the historical stuff, but obviously I'm always gonna lean more into fantasy. But you get people like Mark Masklan's winning golds, Kirill Knieve, they're winning golds in historical with the stuff they're doing. Mark with the guy with the axe and the jumper, I think he won that in historical because it's just like a normal dude, which is super cool. So you can do that kind of thing. But yeah, there's a lot of this intense scratch building, isn't there? And I think if you don't realize that it's completely scratch built from little metal wires, like all those spokes on the bike or whatever. I think I saw the unpainted image of this bike when I was talking to Matt about what images to pick, and it's like absolutely mental. Looks like, in those shops and you get bikes and machines made of stuff they welded together, nuts and bolts, but they're like that big because it's all nuts and bolts. It's kind of like that, but with little hits of copper wire, and it's pretty intense, isn't it? So
yeah, people will find like it could be a diagram or a set of blueprints for a tank that was never, or a vehicle that was maybe only ever built once or was never really built. And they'll use that to create it out of plasticard and other random kits that they can find, and then paint it in a historical way. It is the amount of time it takes and the amount of detail that people go into. It is different.
You sometimes see them like on the plinths or something. They'll glue the photo of what they were trying to create on the back or the side, or they'll have it next to it, which I always find really cool.
Yeah,
I guess it's nice looking at Diego's Baby Dreaming and then this, and they both won the best of show and only 2 years apart, and it kind of shows, sometimes you can see a best of and not agree with it, but I think it does show that they're open to very different styles, and if something's got a massive impact for how technical and how crazy it is from the scratch building point of view, or how evocative it is, I think it's kind of cool that you can look at Diego's and this miniature, and they're polar opposites, which is another reason why we wanted to show these two. They both got best of show, complete opposites. So I think that's a nice thing.
Yeah.
Next one.
Cool. Another one.
Here you go. Another opposite. I really wanted to show this one because it's in a completely different style, and I think it shows the openness of these competitions. So a lot of people will know Alfonso, aka Banshee, and I love this. I think it's one of his best works because Hellboy is a comic book character, and so to see it painted in a comic book style is obviously really, really suitable. And I think he's managed to blend the backdrop into the 3D elements fairly seamlessly, right? Which is super cool. And yeah, I just think it's really, really nice. It does look like a comic. It suits Hellboy so much. The sculpt's really cool. I love the rim light from the blue. That's really, really cool. Yeah, I just think it's amazing. I think this one best of fantasy as well. So not best of show. I think this one best of fantasy, and I think this is the year Kyriakos won best of show.
Can something win best of show if it doesn't win best of in its own category?
It's basically, say you've got the top three, they go, well, what's the best out of them? And that'll be the best of show. And then if there's two amazing pieces, it's like, well, that'll be the best of fantasy then. So it kind of doesn't go like that. So you can't win best of fantasy and best of show. But imagine if you've got an insane historical piece that's unbelievable, 5 years of work, and you've got an unbelievable fantasy piece, and only one gets it. And I think that happened for me at World Model Expo, because at World Model Expo there was only a best of show, and Albert brought his dwarf with the big column behind it,
Yeah.
and it didn't get a best of, and everyone was saying that's, if there was a best of fantasy, that's the best of fantasy, if not the best of show. But because there was a best of show, a historical piece won, and it was amazing. But it shows how much of a shame it is to not have best of fantasy and best of historical, I think. But MMS is different, and it has both plus the best of show. It's quite complicated, I guess.
It really does need, like, shows like that really do need the two things, because the historical and the fantasy, they're going to be so different. Like, they're going to be polar opposites. It's so difficult to just say, yep, that one.
Well, it's look at the bike and then look at Alfonso's work. You go, which one's better? Well, you can't, can you?
No.
But it's also, in general, you're going to align with one more than the other. So you go to the show, you're into fantasy, you're going to see stuff like this, like Albert's dwarf, and you go, that's the best piece in the show. And you'll look at the historical, but like me, I'll go, that's incredible. And me and Rich are pretty good at picking out, oh, that's going to win historical, even though we don't know that much, because you get standout pieces. But you're always going to align more with one more than the other, and I think it's nice if you get to see that get best of. And when there is best of fantasy and best of historical, it doesn't feel like they're competing. You're kind of like, yeah, that's the winner, right? So but that was just a little unique thing that happened at World Model Expo. And at SMC, I believe they just have best of fantasy, best of historical, and that's it. And I believe Monte has best of historical, best of fantasy, and then an overall best of show. Yeah, so but you can't win like both at a time. But I think when you have like a show like this where there's almost 2,000 models, maybe I think it was something like 1,800 last time. Having a few bests is okay. It's absolutely okay, and it doesn't make it easy. Best of fantasy is insanely hard to win. And they introduced best of paint as well, and there's a few little awards. So, but all of them, every piece that wins them is absolutely incredible. And yeah, it is a shame for them not to get these special prizes, right?
Very cool. What's up next?
Then there was a bit of a time jump.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is
so good.
So this one, best of painting. So this is very specific that it's just about the painting, and this is a commercial figure that everyone can buy. Really, to get the bests of, it's normally unique pieces. But if you don't have access to that, you don't have a sculptor that'll do what you want, then yeah, I think this is cool. But yeah, this is absolutely insane.
We didn't this feature on our best of the year.
Yeah, so I guess we won't talk about it for ages. But
no, go ahead, because that was ages ago. Also, because it's probably still the best painted miniature I've ever seen, so you might as well talk about it.
Yeah,
that
I think the most
in real life.
It was silly good.
Yeah. The interesting thing I think is what everyone was talking about was the non-metallics combined with metallics. So he finishes the highlights with true metallics, and I think it's really, really nice. I think
cool.
Good photos. Actually, these are the MMS photos. I have to say, big shout out to Monte. They've got a new website, and it's really fantastic. It's the best they've ever had. And yeah, they've got a video on there, which is super cool. So you go on the Monte website, and I was really happy. Matt showed us a print.
They got our video, haven't they?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So I'm super happy with that. But yeah, these are the official photos, and they'll get better with time. It'll be less of a mystery, but I kind of like that.
That was always an appeal of it, though, that Monte is this. It's in a really little, like, walled town in Tuscany, and you don't know about it unless you kind of get invited by somebody or somebody that's been. It is getting more and more popular. That's the thing, because we've been going for such a long time now. If you compare what it was like when we first started going to now, it's so much bigger, so much bigger. which is great because you get to see all those different people come and experience the show, and it's still holding on to that kind of how special it is. But yeah, because of where it is. Monte San Savino is as much about the fact that it's in Monte San Savino as it is about the fact that it's a show. It's just the best show.
Someone that was like, oh, where's the website? Can I get information? And I was like, no website, mate. And they're like, oh, where do I find out hotel recommendations? Blah.
Right,
Yeah.
But by the looks of it, they are making it a little bit more accessible, right? Which is only
their new
a
site
positive
is
thing.
So much better. And I think I did hear that they are going to try and get some of the images up, which is cool.
We've done episodes on the shows themselves, Monte San Savino. We haven't done SMC, actually. We did it when it was World Model Expo, but we had the organisers on for some interviews. So if you want to know more about the shows specifically and sort of lots of nitty gritty, and like Rich is saying, where we talk a little bit more about what it's like, so you can check out the video we've done of last year's Monte San Savino. You can check out the Culture Paint episode with the guys from SMC. Give you a better idea. Today's was much more about just, we've seen a lot of Games Workshop stuff for the last 6 months. So because it's been GD season, right? So now it's time to sort of just refresh and get hyped about some truly astonishing paint jobs on minis you might not have seen.
This gets me going, this paint job. This makes me want to paint better. Super motivation.
Literally. I've just seen on the website they've got like a countdown. So Monte San Savino is in 51 days, which I'm very excited about.
Easy peasy.
Right. What's
next one?
Next.
Ah, there you go. That's the one.
Like, look at the state of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool, right? Best in military modeling. So, should this have its own best of? Absolutely. And obviously there's different weighting in the best ofs, but I really like that there's a lot of these celebrations, like different best ofs, and that's just mental, isn't it?
Scott's asked in the chat, sorry, as well as the best ofs, do you have like gold, silvers and bronze levels for the painting? Yeah.
So you have one of the cool things about both these shows is there is different levels. So there's junior, there's beginner, there's standard, and then there's masters, and there's bronze, silver and gold medals for each of those categories. And the really nice thing about that is if you're new or you're not super confident, then you go to the category that suits you. So I went with Jamie one year, patron paint, and he'd done Golden Demon before, and he was like, oh, because I've won Golden Demon, does that mean I have to do that? And it's like, no, it doesn't work like that at all. Try standard category out and just see how you get on, and then you know where you're at. You've got nothing to lose, if you start with standard level. And he won the gold, and it doesn't mean he has to go up to masters next year, but once you've achieved a gold in one of the lower levels, why not move to the next one? And maybe maybe next time you get a bronze in the masters, or maybe you won't medal, so you might be in between the classes, but it's kind of up to you. But it's a really nice system, and it's it makes it, I hope, not intimidating, because I think some of these shows are scary, especially when it's only 3 awards and there's only a few categories. But it doesn't make it any easier, because a gold in master is super hard to get. But maybe if that's too far away, then you do standard or beginner. But getting a gold in master is something to be really, really proud of. So even though there's not one gold award given out, there's multiple. There's normally not very many, sometimes just 3 gold medals and stuff like that. So still a very difficult show, but at the same time welcoming, I think.
Yeah, and I think you've got access to so many other people there that you can talk to about your entries. It feels like a collaborative kind of thing. If you wanted a bit of advice, the people that are there that have won master, that have won gold in those sort of categories are always there to chat. We basically spend 2 or 3 days sitting around outside in cafes, drinking really nice coffee, talking about how to paint miniatures. So it's a hell of a thing to do for your motivation.
Yeah, you're so buzzing after. You're like, oh, I wish I was this buzzing before the show, so I could have got my arse.
So actually get some done.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard to keep the motivation going in the summer, isn't it? So
Oh, can I paint something in 51 days?
yeah, defo.
Yeah,
Space
I
Marine.
am. You can paint something.
Yeah. Yeah, I could try.
Do historical, mate. Do ordnance.
Yeah.
Just
Should we
paint
do
a
another
really big
slide?
bomb. Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh,
Here we
oh.
go.
This was ridiculous.
Fuck,
Yes.
so good, eh?
Yeah, so yeah, this is the latest. The previous winner, reigning champ Eric Swinson, the American hero. Yeah,
All-American hero.
He's killing it for USA.
I mean, it's a very strong back, isn't it, to be carrying an entire nation.
Yeah,
Fair play. Fair play, Eric.
yeah. This piece was like you walk in the room and you saw it, and we talked about it again before. But yeah, you walk in the room and you just saw this, and most people I think it's going to get the best of because it just had everything you want to see, really. You know, the impact. And Eric is judging this year, I believe, which is cool. And I don't know if that's anything to do with him getting the best of. But I think it's nice that someone who wins the best of is the judge the next year, you know? So that's really cool. I think they do that at, it was Hussar, now it's called Contrast, the Polish comp. I think whoever wins best of, they're like, oh, you're judging next time. So it stops being the same person every year or whatever,
That's
which is cool.
Yeah,
never seen
I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I think it's cool. Like, on the one hand, I think it's a really cool idea. The negative for it is not everybody's going to be very good at judging. They might be a phenomenal painter, but they might not be a very good judge.
True.
And vice versa. I think obviously you've got to be able to paint to a decent level to be able to judge, but you know, I don't think it's exclusive. But then there's also somewhere where I really like the idea of, you said it then, the returning champion or reigning champion coming back and trying to defend the title almost, as it were.
Come on, Eric.
And I say that with a very much tongue in cheek. You know, there's a lot of the times, oh, painting's not a competition. How can you judge art? Blah blah blah. Absolutely, 100%, $1,000,000% correct. But there are these competitions, and they're super fun, and it's really good fun to get involved. And I think a little bit more of the people that can take it anyway, a little bit more of the shit stirring is only a positive thing. Because, you know, we just see it become more and more popular and more talked about. And that's something we've discussed over the last few years of the podcast, isn't it? You know, we started the podcast out, I think, probably looking at some things from Monte and stuff like that. And it's just seeing it over the last 3 years. Was it, I think it was the guys from SMC said at World Model Expo last year, just how many more entries there are now in the fantasy category compared to historicals. So yeah, super cool. Eric was forced to judge.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean like that. It's more like, you know, do they ask when you win something like that? Maybe. Yeah, never a have to thing, but do you get asked? Whatever.
I remember seeing this model when I walked into the room. It was the best thing I think I'd ever seen in person. When I saw it for the first time, I remember just looking at it being like, how the fucking hell has he done that?
It's
so remember rightly, he did it in it.
It's like it's incredibly trippy to look at it with the painted on shadows.
Yeah.
I was kind of moving my head around. I was like, oh wait, no, they're painted on.
Yeah, he did it in like a ludicrously short period of time, if memory serves, as well.
Well, I think
2.5 weeks.
Matt's just touched on there is probably the biggest reason to go to these shows. Is, you know, if you enjoy looking at painted minis online and great photographs of them and stuff, then that's wonderful. But if you're able to go and see them up close, you know, it's a different experience, isn't it? Very, very different.
It's a 3D thing. You got to see it in 3D.
Well, I think I've found when I've seen exceptionally well painted models in person in hand at competitions, or, you know, meeting people, it's always inspiring, like always. Whereas sometimes I look at photos on Instagram or whatever like this, and it isn't necessarily inspiring. Sometimes intimidating is not quite the right word, but it can almost be demotivating at times. But I've never had that experience looking at it in hand. I don't know why.
I agree. Yeah,
It's,
I'm numb to whatever online. I don't really. It's bad to say I don't care. I'm not too stimulated by seeing things online, and you kind of forget the purpose of miniatures is for them to look cool in real life. That's their only function, you know.
well, unless it's
but-
box art, right? Just paint the front well from one angle.
I mean, yeah, let's not go down that road, but yeah, you know, models are different from 2D art because they're supposed to be cool when you hold them and look at them, and you can spin around and go ooh, and so you just get a different feeling.
But it's really
yeah, I think
different, isn't it? Like it's
really
it's-
different.
Like the first time I experienced it was, you hear a lot of people go, "Oh, heavy metal, blah, it's really boring, blah blah blah," and you think, "Well, I've seen it a lot. It's very crisp, yeah, great, whatever." And then you see it, you're like in your hand holding the model, and it's completely different experience. All of a sudden, you get it. You know,
I find it's the oversaturation of online images that it does it for you.
as
It
in
completely just
as in there's loads of them, or people fuck
Yeah.
around with settings too
no,
much.
just images in general,
Both.
like good or bad. It's just the endless death scrolling. You just get completely numb to what's good and bad. It doesn't really matter. It's
I
just
agree,
Image
yeah.
after image.
I need to see some real minis. I can't remember what's a good mini anymore. I don't know. I don't know what the level is. Just don't. So yeah.
But I think it's that thing, isn't it? Is both have. It's incredible being able to share work online. It's incredible being able to see people's work from all over the world. And for a lot of people, that is going to be the main way they consume it. And we don't want to be detrimental about that because it's an amazing place to be. You know, even to where we were 10 years ago. But if you are nerdy enough to be watching us talking about painting things, you would probably get a real kick out of going to shows and seeing them.
Oh yeah.
You know, and this brings up something we chatted about, I think, when we spoke about World Model Expo maybe last time, but this idea of going to shows as a spectator as opposed to going to shows as a competitor, and then possibly the sort of third category of just do both and don't stress. But I think
impossible.
but yeah, that I find that impossible. Whereas I really enjoy going to shows and seeing them painted miniatures, but I just don't enjoy the process of painting for a show. So yeah, hopefully, yeah, if you get a chance, you should go.
You should, and it's one of the things I entered GD, and it's on my bucket list again to enter Monte, as I do like going every year. But it's one of those things that I would happily do either. I would happily enter something for Monte. It'd be really good fun. But it's such a great show just to go to, just for the fun and the experience, because it feels like such an experience. You know, you're traveling abroad. Well, for us, we're traveling abroad to go to this show. It's normally like a good group of us that go over. We see people at this show that we only ever see at this show. The miniatures is a great part of it, but it is just part of it. It encompasses so much more than that, than just a miniatures show.
I think,
if you
Richard.
can go, you should.
I think I'm predicting that there'll be a Kickstarter coming next year, which will have some fantastic models that you could paint for Monte Savino.
Check out our last
maybe,
It's
episode.
true.
maybe chill out for this year, and then I'll remind you if I see a Kickstarter I like anyway. Then I'll remind you.
50 days, mate. I'm tempted. 50 days. I could do something in 50 days.
You can't
Yeah.
because we're not doing it till next year, mate. So,
Well, no, not that, maybe.
but yeah, but it would be good to see. Right, we've got any more slides, Matthew?
Do scale.
Oh, I love this one.
Wow.
Stuck this up earlier in the week. Yeah,
Talk about it. Tell me what you think about it.
it's just that whole thing of it's great to challenge yourself. I think anyway, in all walks of life, like whatever you're doing, always challenge yourself. Look at things that aren't in your normal wheelhouse. Try and understand why you like them or why they make you like what you like more. But like looking at this, you always talk about how historical stuff is judged differently on different criteria. But end of the day, it's putting paint, usually acrylic, although very often oils, right, when it's historical stuff, like onto model kits. So what is there that's different? What is there that I can take over and put onto to 32mm type stuff, fancy type miniatures that I like. But then there's other things, and it's the seats on this. Usually I'm an absolute slag for tires and tracks. I love how historical painters make them look. Like, I just love wheels, but the seats on this motorcycle,
Yeah.
how good to that. Like, I own and have owned old vehicles, and that is so good how those seats have been done. Like,
Yeah.
it is like, you crop it in, and is it real life, is it painted, whatever. It's so well done. And that's it. I think for me, the subject matter, particularly in modern-ish historical, so sort of 20th century onwards, doesn't really do it for me. But the actual technique, I think it's incredible. And like the ammo box or the radio box, whatever it is on the front of the sidecar, so good. Like, it's just a black box. Like, but it's not. Look at it. Like, look how real they've made that look.
The headphones as well.
Oh, it's just
Honestly,
it's so
if you
good.
took that outside,
Yeah,
and you put it in the natural sun and you took a photo of it, I think a lot of people would have a hard time not realizing it's a miniature.
it's just incredible.
Mate,
And
it's
because I
it's the
don't
instructions.
because I don't know anything about the actual subject matter outside of it's a man and a motorcycle with a sidecar on it from a war. I don't know necessarily how great things like the camouflage and stuff are on it. And sometimes when I look at historicals, I'm like, well, that just looks like it's spray painted on. But then, of course, that's the point, right?
That's what
Because
they would
that's
do.
what it was. That's exactly that's what it would have been.
That's what I did.
But again, coming from that tabletop gaming and hobbying background, you often don't want to see or personally, I don't like to necessarily see the technique on a model. It's like something's over airbrushed, or if any one technique is overused or applied with less taste than I would prefer to see, I don't like it. But on the historicals, it makes sense, doesn't it? And like the way they'll have got that in scale, right? So he's used his airbrush to apply those camouflage squiggly things on there, but it's done in such a way that it will be photorealistic. Like the fade will be right compared to the center of it, and all the rest. It's so clever, and I get why people obsess about it and do like one piece a year.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is the difference. Like, the people that go to these shows, like, honestly spend years on them, right? They'll do one over a couple years. I think Albert spent a year and a half on his. 18 months. Like all these different people. It's crazy amounts of time. And you just don't tell when you turn up and you go, oh, that's cool. And they might have spent 3 years on it or whatever.
Adam's saying in the chat, how did you get the motivation to enter when this is the standard of entries? It feels so far ahead of what you could personally achieve. And that's a huge topic, really, Adam. And it's something we've touched on in various episodes. But I think what we would say is, particularly with these shows, there's a lot more meeting up and discussing and being inspired by and being part of it, really. It's not just about... Obviously, there's some people there that are just straight up sharks that go collect your awards and go, like, obviously, and there will be in everything. But it's... This is like our grand tournaments, right, that gamers have. Not everybody who goes to a gaming event is going expecting they're going to take it out, right? But they're still going because they're going to have a great time. They're going to meet some people. They're going to see where they're at personally. They can compare themselves to their peers. They can find inspiration for other projects, all that sort of thing. And if they get absolutely spanked, then they might be able to ask their opponent, oh, can you give me some tips on what I could have done and stuff? And all of that applies to painting, when you're at these shows and stuff. So there's lots of good reasons to go. And also, there's no pressure, mate. There's no chance you're winning gold in Masters, Adam, so don't stress about it. Just go and have some fun.
Level system, standard.
There you go.
Yeah, and you got beginner as well. It's cool. It's just awesome. But you just, I guess, have to be realistic where you're at, and enjoy it. But I think once you've done it once, you go, you get it, and then it's okay, right? So it's kind of gnarly when you see all these best offs and things, but there's 2,000 models almost at these things, so it's a real breadth of abilities. And the judges told me once that they thought people in the categories like standard were more adventurous and made more risks, whereas people in the master categories were scared to like not get their medals, so they didn't take risks. But like so go all in, do something original, and you can win from that.
Try it out.
Nice. Right,
See
any
another
more, bud?
piece? 3 more.
Oh,
3.
good lord.
Yeah, there you go. This one SMC, right? Best of fantasy. I mean, yeah, Chris Clayton sculpt and insano paint job, really.
That's to be expected.
It's just nuts, isn't it? It's just nuts. This is actually a friend of ours commissioned this, and I believe the story was he commissioned it. I won't say the price, but from memory, it was very, very reasonable. But I think it took like a couple years, to get the commission. Like, oh, I've done it now. Here you go. And you get that. You'd be like, yeah, I'm happy with that commission. Just, obviously had it on his desk a while, got around to it, and absolutely incredible. And this is why you go to other shows to see pieces like this. And I think it's also very, very different to the other pieces we looked at, like Banshee's Hellboy and Kyriakos's work. It's super different, right? Because it's not loads of there's not a lot of highlighting. It's basically kind of just freehand, right? It's like a flatter style, if you know what I mean. A bit like Chris Clayton paints, actually, where you're just painting a lot of detail and things like that, but you're not doing any volumetric highlighting or anything like that, really. What do you reckon?
Yeah,
Very cool.
it's hard
Such a good
hard
model.
saying it. It's just
It's Kirill.
when it's
Like, I
when
don't know what
his
you're saying.
best jobs are the best jobs.
Yeah.
It's quite exhausting.
Yeah, it is.
But I think it also gives you a really it's shown to me the standard how it's changing quite rapidly. Like, I think Kirill's always going to be in the conversation of the best, for whatever that word means, but of like GOAT status, right?
Yeah.
And there's many things he's done that I prefer to this, but it's really cool. It's really, really cool to see it. But again, it's knowing the history of the scene a little bit more, understanding how important this piece of sculpture was, and all that sort of things. It just gives it a little bit more, doesn't it? But it's
Do you remember his Crimson Fist, Daniel Craig?
yeah, Daniel.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That blew up the internet. That
Yeah.
was insane. That had
That
loads
was
of
so
freehand
good.
on it as well. Yeah, that's absolutely nuts. Should we move to the next one?
Oh,
Yeah, this is beautiful.
so good.
Beautiful.
But again, very, very different, right? And again, this is such a great advert for these shows. There's something for everyone.
More mecha style, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, kind of like some elements of what they look for in historical, with all the converting and all the work on the actual sculpting. But obviously, it's a fantasy piece, right? Which is really nice blend, and it just shows that outstanding models win. Nothing to a particular style. It's just just has to be.
It does
outstanding.
reward creativity though too, doesn't it? Like, it's wonderfully painted. Don't get me wrong, but it's so cool. Like it's. I think it's coming out of 6 months of GD stuff, particularly at the minute. It's so refreshing to see other sci-fi and other fantasy stuff, isn't it?
Especially if it's made up by that person.
That's
it's not
it,
like
right?
us.
So
it's not even another
individual.
IP.
No.
Yeah.
And there's so many IPs and things anyway. For all I know, it could be some random video game IP that I've never heard of type thing. But it doesn't really matter, does it? the fact is it's just cool, and that's been recognised. That someone's been able to take a cool idea and execute it to an incredibly high level. But this can sit next to, you know, man with map and motorcycle. Well,
And yeah,
you know, other side of the hall anyway. But yeah,
I don't know
So
what
good.
category this was in. I can't remember. I remember seeing it. I think that's the year you came, Rich.
I think it is,
Maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you came to.
So it was
that
the last one
'cause
before
you only went
COVID,
there
wasn't
once.
it?
Yeah, so I think you only went there once, and I think
Yeah,
this was
just
the year
SMC
you
one.
came.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, just a blinder really.
Mm.
Next one,
Last one.
last
Hey.
one, an important one to talk about because
lots of reasons.
it did the double. It did the Slayer sword and a non-Games Workshop best of, which not many or any people are doing that. So yeah, you got Slayer sword and then you get the SMC best of fantasy, which just shows
Well, this
how
reigning
good it is, really.
Did you say 2019 was the last SMC?
Yeah, reigning champ.
So there we go. It's the reigning champ.
Yeah, I mean this
Still my-
piece is legendary, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's my favourite piece of probably all time.
Really?
Is it?
I absolutely love this piece. I
Well,
would
go
I
on.
would pay multiple monies to ever own it.
Discuss, expand.
Oh, it's up there for me as well. It's
Yeah.
it's the perfect blend, isn't it? Of like, it's technical enough to look nice, but it's not like overly clean. It's still got the right feeling. Conversion works unbelievable. Base works perfectly supporting, and you know, obviously he's just sculpted that. It's hard to look at the original model after this. Me and Rich always say that.
Yeah.
We look at the kit and we're like, oh yeah, it doesn't come like it does with Maxime's. Oh.
Shame that.
And also, you know, good use of different light sources because you've got the warm front and the cold back, but the back's not lazy. It's been done really,
Yeah.
really well. And I love that it won Golden Demon because it wasn't the typical.
It's not flashy, is it?
No, and it just shows how good it is because it did the same at Scale Model Challenge, and
There's
it kind of shows that. Go on, Rich.
There's even an element of surprise that it won what it won at Golden Demon because of the style that it's painted in. I think as we spoke about before, I think it's one of those sort of shifts in momentum around Golden Demon of, you know, it doesn't need to be as clean and neat as humanly possible for it to do well. Like it's still a very neat and clean model, but it's painted in a distinctly more artistic style. You know, the brush strokes are visible, the texture is visible. And I mean, the model that it's been picked to do that with lends to that quite well, I think. If you tried to do that on a Space Marine Dreadnought or something, it probably wouldn't work as well. But it was really surprising, but in a great way that it did what it did. And it's so good.
Yeah, it is.
It's just undeniably beautiful, really, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I think that it showed Golden Demon was open to things like this, which is really important for that. And it also shows that you can do a Games Workshop model and win.
I think that's
one of these other ones.
I think that's particularly noteworthy, right? Because there's always been that people, you can only win Golden Demon if you paint heavy metal style, and it feels to me like there's far more examples of that being false. Like when you just pick all the winners, like most of them are not done in that style for years now. Anyway, right? But I think the other side of it, taking it to a non-Games Workshop show, and it just basically being a perfect fantasy goblin troll ogre type thing, right? So people that don't know Warhammer, they don't need to know that this is a whatever he is, a dank old Troggoth.
It's a troll, man. This is
What
just fantasy.
they're seeing is just this, like something out the page of a fantasy illustration book, right? To do with Griblies. Could be a goblin for all you know. If you did not know that this was
supposed to be big,
supposed to be the size it is in the game and all the rest of it, and you just saw it for the first time at SMC or whatever, I think you could absolutely think it was an orc or a goblin or a whatever, right?
Yeah, is that a mouse skull on his head or is it a horse?
right? It's just all that. It's just very good. It's very, very, very good.
It's
Yeah.
one of those pieces that I always go back to every month or so. I always go back and look at the photos because I managed to get for the project like really.
Those are
high
your
res
photos, aren't they?
Yeah. And I like getting to take those photos and actually seeing it, and then getting zoom in, and it's just like, yeah, it's just so damn good.
What you said there, it's a very zoomable photo, isn't it? It's a very zoomable paint job. Like you keep getting closer and closer, and it doesn't get any worse.
No.
Which is impressive. So
Yeah, everything he does is just amazing. That Nurgle guy did was just insane in a different way, right? But this just because it was like that bigger piece, just had that magic, I think.
Really, really cool. So hopefully that's whetted your appetite. And thanks very much, Andy, for taking us through all of that. It's
easy. We'll do it again after.
We will. Well, we'll definitely have a wrap up of each of the shows for sure. And if you are going to be going to either of them, make sure to come say hi. We know we've got two of our Antipodean chums coming to SMC. Got Todd and Jared are going to be there. Should be super cool. But yeah, if you're going to be at them, let us know. Because say it's as much about meeting up with the people as it is about entering the competitions. And on that note, hopefully we'll have something very exciting to announce to you in the next week or two for another, what will hopefully become very well regarded competition. So anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, but me and Matt will be videoing both the shows, right? So we'll do a video for the main channel, and we will do a wrap up episode after both. So maybe we'll talk about the best ofs when we've done it.
Perfect. Nice one.
Nice.
So, closing out the show, Paint Cultists. Now, a little bit different. So, hashtag Paint Cultists. We've got 28,000, something like that now. Started off at the beginning just to share your work for a hashtag on social media. And it was a great way to expose yourself to different styles and different miniatures that you just aren't going to always appear in your feed. And normally what I would do is go through each sort of couple of weeks and pick out a few that stood out to me. But Instagram is fucked and have been messing around with things recently where viewing recents and top recents and things like that, it's all to do with algorithm and essentially, not to get on too much of a soapbox, but essentially shitting on small creators and making it very, very difficult to discover accounts via hashtags now, because you will only ever see the same couple of accounts because they're huge. And basically it pushes you to, if you want to be seen by people, it pushes you to pay for adverts and whatnot to push your work, which is a real shame. Now, obviously, there's been a huge backlash to it, not just from our hobby, but as you can imagine, an awful lot of the hobbies that essentially Instagram's there for, as opposed to just photos of vacuous dickheads. You know, there's a lot of hobbies where we share that creativity. So hopefully it will change and it will come back. So don't give up on it by that means. But for the time being, what I've done is we have a Discord, which we're fairly useless at doing anything with, but
I've heard of
there's
Discord,
a lot of people on there who really love it. And you know, it's very active every day. And there is a Paint Cultists, whatever the hell it's called, channel on there. So, and the nice thing about that is you can actually have a little bit of a chat as well as just posting the work. So for this week's or this episode's Paint Cultists, I just grabbed the photos that have been chucked up this week over on the Discord channel, our Discord channel, link of which will be in the description, and I will always endeavour to make sure it is up to date and it doesn't close out like it often does. So what we got, Matt?
First up.
This weird ass conversion.
That's
Wow.
cool.
Someone's done, and lovely moody photos.
It's Ogroid Thermaturg, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, Ogroid Thermaturg.
Part of it.
Yeah, legs and
Or
body.
it was at one point.
Spent a lot of time painting that mini, so I reckon.
Is it not one of the new Ogroid Theramins? What they are?
I don't think so because of the crotch cloth and the necks turning to the right. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I did spend ages on that model.
but yeah, super cool. And this is there's lots of discussion around the piece, and actually I do really like that, as opposed to just sort of screaming into the void. It's quite fun having a little bit more discussion around the pieces. But yeah, this is messed up, but this is right up my street. This
I'm
is
getting ripped on in the chat. by
perfect
the way.
chaos stuff. I'm trying now. I get Discord to launch every time I start my computer now, so hopefully we can get a bit more involved. It's just a habit thing. We're just not trendy enough
Too old, mate.
to do it. Never too old, mate. Never too old. Right, what's up next? Matthew?
Wow.
Oh yeah, nice. So I'm currently very much enjoying painting. Weird, Discord's just gone bloop bloop bloop. That's something that annoys the fuck out of me though, and I need to figure out how to
Just turn off notifications.
thank you. There we go. So geez, all right.
Put it on
Wow.
silent,
How-
Grandad. Put it on silent.
How condescending. Just turn off notifications.
Hey, those with shit
you
mustaches
technical
shouldn't throw stones.
tit.
Is what they. I think is the phrase goes. So yeah, Nids, I am loving them, and I'm loving seeing people
Are you
paint them
Nid
up.
curious
Not
right
just the oh mate, they're just very rewarding to paint. The new sculpts anyway, they're an order of magnitude nicer than the old models from a quality point of view. And it's it's pretty awesome, and people's I guess maybe because it's still the only new army in 40k at the minute.
The book's out of date though.
Is it really? Fuck's sake! But it's just really nice to see, and there's a lot for a range that generally you don't see conversions done with, or certainly not as frequently. There's still an awful lot of creativity with Tyranid hobbyists, it seems. Like a lot of people like creating their own hive fleets, and
Colour
And I
schemes
think-
are endless, though, aren't they?
well, that's it. And because they're
insane.
are they bugs? Are they crustaceans? Are they? And they deliberately aren't they made? Are they reptilian? There's all these cool inspiration things you can draw from for your color schemes. It's just really exciting.
Reminds me of ice blue. Do you remember that colour? That was what it's called.
Nice.
I used to paint with that a lot. Ice blue.
So yeah. So what's up next?
Next up is
Yo.
Ooh,
Oh,
so
that's great.
this one took I want to say gold in journeyman level at Nova recently, which I think is why I was up there. So congratulations
cool.
to that person for that. What a classic character. You
Sean
know,
Bazaraka.
Sean
Bazra,
the
Carl the
Batterer.
Betrayer, one of the just one of the best characters, and really, really cool. Very old school feel, I think, to this paint job. Even though it's done in NMM and it's all of that, I think it's got a really nice sort of second ed artwork vibe to it. So yeah, really excellent. Obviously, Nova happened recently, and there's lots of people chatting about that. There's tons of different Discord channels there. Todd does an incredible job at sorting it out, and we really should pull our fingers out and do more for it. So
I'll buy you a pint, Todd.
Coconut crab nids. That's it. There's been some cool versions of them, hasn't there? All
Let's
over
get
the place.
Discord.
Right. Is there one more? I think there's one more.
one more.
Couple more.
Well,
Oh yeah, it's great.
Tasty.
I
eh?
love that model.
It's good,
yeah,
right?
same.
And this is, to me,
Great version.
just perfect paint job for it.
The
Like right
copper.
level of painterly, but
Mm.
bit grim.
Shred the gnar.
It's just nice. It's just very, very nice. I would
Love
Yeah.
like that model on my shelf.
Mm.
the
yeah.
colour in the copper's beautiful.
Right? It really shows the model off well as well, I think.
Subtle.
It is subtle. It's just really nice. It's really, really tasty.
I started converting it, but messed it up.
You shock me, sir.
I'll come back to it.
If I'm right, wasn't this one of the... Because Typhus is quite old now, isn't he?
Fucking well old now.
Yeah.
I think
For you.
I think this model got the night fever meme.
Did it?
Yeah,
attention.
yeah.
Pretty sure.
That's BS.
But it's yeah.
Get the
it's-
meme police
it's a
on that.
cracker.
It's not
I
that bad.
loved the original Typhus mini.
Same.
Took me a while to come round to the new style of Death Guard, which incidentally now I really, really like.
I
But
never will.
It was pretty strong, right? It was quite cartoony and this, that, and the other. But I think this is with this paint job, I get it. I think it just works really, really well.
It's good to get children into Warhammer, isn't it? Death Guard.
Yeah. Well,
Just don't let them read the books.
No.
It's good. We were fine. We did it as kids. And it's not done us any harm.
Perfectly well-adjusted human beings.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I watched some films that messed me up as a kid, not Warhammer.
Right. Or internet documentaries or things like Aliens and...
Nah, Silence of the
Predator,
Lambs,
right,
mate, messed me up. I don't know what year
But
it came out, but I was definitely too young when I saw that film. I was like, oh!
Is that it for slides, Matt? Is there more? Can't remember.
That's it.
That's it. So yeah. So jump on the Discord if you fancy it. As I said, there's a whole Paint Cultist channel. It's hopefully Instagram sorts their shit out, but we will see.
They won't.
We will. Yeah.
Bloody
we will.
Facebook.
We will see. I agree, but let's not go on that rant. Right. If you would like to get in touch with us, if you've got a topic you'd like us to cover or an account you think we should take a look at, all the rest of it, we're on all the usual places. So get in touch. There's also the commission studio. Ben wanted me to give a shout out. If you're interested in joining the team for that, please get in touch. We're looking for a couple more miniatures painters to add to the stable, which would be awesome. So yeah, drop us probably an email is probably best for that one. But yeah, YouTube, Patreon, Instagram for what it's worth, and all the rest of it. We will see you in a couple of weeks' time for the next show. We should be on our regular schedule, fortnightly schedule from now on, now that summer's very much over. So it's stay indoors and paint little figures. I think
Paint for Monte, woo!
the order of the day, isn't it? So anything you guys wanted to add before we disappear?
No, looking forward to doing the shows and talking about them again. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's made me pumped to go to Monte this year again and really get stuck into it. And, yeah, and keep sending me memes. If you're not finding any memes, the ruder the better.
And topic ideas, please.
Yeah, if there is anything you want to see us talk about or a topic we haven't talked about, then please do let us know.
Yeah, nice one. Fab. Right, well, thanks, chaps. Thanks, chat. We'll see you next time.
Bye.